My name's Jacob Turner, 34 years old, and I'm from a small town in Indiana where the winters bite hard and the summers sweat you dry. I've been married to my wife, Sarah, for 8 years now. She's 32, a fiery redhead with a laugh that used to light up my world. We met back in high school, dated through senior year, split when she went off to some fancy art school in Chicago while I stayed home to work construction with my dad. Years later, we ran into each other at a 4th of July barbecue at my buddy Caleb's place. Sparks flew again, and before I knew it, we were hitched, living in a cozy little 2-story house with a wraparound porch and a big oak out front. Life was good, or so I thought. Things started going sideways about 8 months back. Sarah got real tight with her older brother, Ethan, and his crew. Guys who wore designer boots they couldn't pay for and bragged about trips to Vegas they funded with credit cards. She started dropping hints about our place being too small for our future, asking when I'd push for a promotion at the lumber yard, where I've been foreman for 3 years. I figured it was just her dreaming big. We're solid. Own a decent truck, a paid-off sedan, take a camping trip every summer up to Lake Michigan. Nothing flashy, but we're happy. Or I was. Her birthday's in March. Always a crapshoot with the weather around here. This year, it landed on a Wednesday, but she'd been talking up a weekend getaway with Ethan to some winery in Traverse City. I told her I couldn't swing it. Work was slammed with a big order for a new subdivision. That was a lie. I pulled strings with my boss, Hank, to get Friday off. My plan: drive up to Ethan's place in Michigan, 5 hours north, with a pecan pie, her favorite, from Miss Ellie's Bakery downtown. I'd even reserved a spot at this upscale steakhouse she'd been eyeing online. Packed her favorite green sundress and sandals in a duffel bag. Figured I'd sweep her off her feet. Romantic, right? Thursday night, the weather turned ugly. A storm was rolling in. 8 to 12 inches of snow predicted, wind gusts that'd knock you sideways. Most folks would have scrapped the trip, but I'm stubborn as a mule. Plus, I've been picturing her smile for weeks. So Friday morning at 6, I loaded the pie in the truck, kissed the dog goodbye, Buster's a mutt who hates snow, and hit the road. What should have been 5 hours stretched into 8. Snow piled up fast, visibility was trash, and I fishtailed twice on black ice. Stopped once for gas and a burnt coffee that tasted like tar, but I kept going. Had to. For Sarah. I rolled into Ethan's neighborhood around 2 in the afternoon. Streets weren't plowed, so I parked 2 blocks down and hoofed it, pie box in hand, boots crunching through knee-deep drifts. My jeans were soaked, my fingers numb, but I was buzzing with adrenaline. Ethan's house is this squat little ranch with peeling blue paint. Guy's got no business hosting fancy wine weekends. Door was cracked open, voices spilling out. I heard Sarah laughing. That sharp, bright sound I used to love. I was about to holler when I caught my name. Jake's probably still at the yard, sawing boards or whatever, she said, her tone dripping with something sour. They'd have shut down in this mess, Ethan shot back. Nah, he's too dumb to leave. Probably napping in his office chair with that stupid ball cap pulled low. I stopped dead in the hallway, pie box heavy in my hands. This wasn't her usual teasing. She'd poke fun at my hats sometimes, sure, but this felt mean. Least he's not here moping around, Ethan said, ruining your birthday with his whining about the mortgage. My gut twisted. I should have walked in then, made a scene, but my feet wouldn't move. Then Sarah said it. Words that hit like a sledgehammer. Lord, I wish he'd wreck that damn truck. Be nice to cash in on that life insurance. A beat of silence, then Ethan chuckled. Or at least break a leg. Give you some peace and quiet for once. They both cracked up, full-on belly laughs, like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. Me, dead or busted up, a punchline. I don't know how I didn't drop the pie right there. Maybe I gasped, because they went quiet. Thought they'd seen me, but Ethan just muttered something about the wind. I shuffled into the kitchen, set the pie on the counter, didn't even look at them. Sarah's eyes went wide, face pale as a ghost. Jake, she croaked. I didn't answer. Turned around, walked back through the snow, got in my truck. Sat there, hands shaking, till I could turn the key. Phone started buzzing. 12 calls, 20 texts. Didn't read a single one. Found a cheap motel off the highway. $60 for a room that stank of mildew and regret. Turned my phone off and stared at the wall till morning. Next day, I drove home. Called my buddy Marcus. He's a welder, lives alone in a trailer out by the river. Man, I need a couch. Stuff's gone bad with Sarah. You didn't ask questions, just said, come on over. Got whiskey and a spare blanket. I went home first, grabbed clothes, my toolbox, my dad's old hunting rifle, not for anything crazy, just sentimental. Left everything else, our photos, the couch we'd picked out at Sears, the bed where we dreamed about kids someday. Been at Marcus's 3 days now. Sarah's blowing up my phone, voicemails, texts, even showed up at the lumber yard yesterday. I wasn't there, called in sick. Today, I hit the bank, pulled half our savings into a new account, locked down our credit cards. Told Hank I need a week remote. It's all mechanical, like I'm on autopilot, but inside, I'm a mess. Keeps replaying. I wish he'd wreck. Cash in on that insurance, and that laugh. Who the hell did I marry? It's been 4 days since I left that pecan pie on Ethan's counter and walked out into the snow. For days of crashing on Marcus's lumpy couch in his trailer, the kind of place that smells like motor oil and burnt popcorn no matter how much you air it out. My name's Jacob Turner, 34, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that my wife, Sarah, laughed about me dying for insurance money. That's not the kind of thing you just shrug off, you know? Marcus has been a rock, though. He's a big guy, beard down to his chest, welds pipes for the gas company. Never married, likes his space, but he didn't blink when I showed up with a duffel bag and a haunted look. Stay as long as you need, Jake, he said that first night, cracking open a bottle of Jim Beam. Women can be a mystery, man. Sometimes they're more trouble than a busted transmission. I nodded, took a swig, and let the burn settle my nerves. He hasn't pushed me to talk, just keeps the coffee pot full and the TV on some old westerns. It's a weird kind of comfort. Yesterday, I woke up with a fire in my gut, not the whiskey kind, but something sharper. I couldn't sit still anymore, couldn't keep hiding out like a whipped dog. So I made a plan. Not a smart one, maybe, but it felt right. I waited till 10 in the morning, Sarah be at her job at the dentist's office, scheduling cleanings and chatting up patients with that fake sweet voice she's got. I grabbed Marcus's beat-up Ford, he'd taken his bike to work, and drove back to our house. My house. Whatever it is now. Pulling into the driveway was like stepping into a dream I didn't belong in anymore. The oak tree out front was bare, branches clawing at the gray sky. The porch swing creaked in the wind. Inside, it was a time capsule, my coffee mug still by the sink, a stack of junk mail on the hall table. But it didn't feel like home. It felt like a stranger's place wearing my life skin. I didn't waste time. Started in our bedroom, yanking my flannels and jeans out of the dresser, leaving the fancy shirts she'd bought me hanging there, let her stare at them and wonder. Took my granddad's pocket knife from the nightstand, the leather journal I scribble in sometimes, my work boots from the closet. In the living room, I grabbed my vinyl records, Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, stuff she never liked anyway, and the carved wooden eagle I picked up at a flea market she called tacky. Down in the basement, I unhooked my fishing gear, rods, tackle box, the whole works. Left the TV we'd splurged on for football Sundays, the recliner we'd argued over at the furniture store. Didn't touch the photos on the walls, us at the lake, us on our honeymoon in Gatlinburg, smiling like we'd cracked the secret to forever. Let her live with those ghosts. Took me 3 hours to strip the place of me, loading it all into Marcus's truck. Before I left, I did a couple things petty, sure, but they felt good. Turned the heat down to 60 degrees, she hates a cold house. Unscrewed the porch light bulb so she'd fumble in the dark coming home. Changed the Wi-Fi password to Wreck-It 2025 and yanked the router's plug. Little jabs, like mosquito bites she'd scratch at later. Our neighbor, Mrs. Pritchard, was out watering her mailbox flowers. Crazy old bat does it even in March. She saw the truck piled with my stuff, gave me a squint. You moving out, Jacob? She asked, voice all nosy. Just clearing some clutter, I lied, tossing her a wave. She didn't buy it, but she shuffled back inside. Good old Indiana manners. Don't dig too deep unless they invite you. Back at Marcus's, I stacked everything in his shed out back, save for a suitcase of clothes I dragged inside. He got home around 5, saw the haul, and just handed me a beer. Looks like you're settling in, he said. No judgment. Sometimes you gotta rip the band-aid off, huh? I grunted, popped the cap, and we sat there watching Clint Eastwood squint at some outlaws till the sun went down. Today, I tackled the money side. Met with a guy named Tom Baxter, a financial planner my cousin recommended. He's got an office above the hardware store, smells like sawdust and old paper. Laid out our accounts on his desk, joint checking, savings, the works. Turns out Sarah's been bleeding cash for months. Not just her shoe obsession, $200 here, $300 there in cash withdrawals, no trace of where it went. Over $10,000 gone in a year. Tom helped me draft a letter, all official-like, saying I'm done covering her debts from here on out. Had it sent to her work by courier, wanted her to open it in front of those chatty receptionists she loves. Also canceled our shared Netflix, the gym membership she never used, rerouted my paychecks to a new account I opened. Small cuts, but they're adding up. Phone's been buzzing nonstop, Sarah's calls, texts, a few from Ethan too. Ignored them all till this afternoon when I checked Facebook. Big mistake. Messages from folks I haven't seen since high school, asking if I'm okay. What's up with me and Sarah? Posted one thing, a blurry pic of my fishing rods leaning against Marcus's shed, no words. Within an hour, Sarah called 8 times. Her friend Kelly texted, she's freaking out, Jake. Just talk to her. Didn't reply. Let them stew. Tonight, Marcus is grilling burgers out back, and I'm sitting here with a Coke, staring at the river glittering under the moon. Keeps hitting me. Wish he'd wreck that truck, cash in on that insurance, and that laugh, sharp as a blade. 8 years, man. 8 years, and I'm wondering if she ever really loved me or just the safety net I built. Tomorrow, I'll call the insurance folks about that policy we got 2 years back. $400,000, not chump change. Need to know my options. For now, I'm breathing, still standing, but damn if it doesn't feel like the ground shifted under me. I'm Jacob Turner, 34, and it's been a week since I hauled my life out of that house I shared with Sarah, my wife of 8 years. A week since I heard her wish I'd wreck my truck for the insurance money, laughing about it with her brother Ethan like it was some barroom joke. I'm still camped out at Marcus's trailer, sleeping on a couch that's got more springs than cushion, trying to figure out who I am without her shadow hanging over me. Marcus has been a godsend, keeping me sane with his quiet way. He's the kind of guy who'd rather weld a pipe than talk feelings, but he's got a knack for knowing when to toss me a lifeline. Last night, he fired up the grill again, venison steaks this time, from a buck he took down last fall. We sat out by the river, stars poking through the clouds, and he said, "You're doing all right, Jake. Takes guts to walk away from a mess like that." I nodded, chewed my steak, and let the compliment sit. Didn't feel brave, just tired. Today started rough. Woke up to a voicemail from Sarah, left at 3 in the morning. Her voice was thick, slurring a little, probably wine. Knowing her. "Jake, where are you? I came home and half the house is gone. What's happening to us?" She sounded small, scared, not the sharp-tongued woman who'd cut me down at Ethan's. Didn't call back. Instead, I drove to the lumber yard to check in with Hank, my boss. Told him I'd work remote for a bit longer, got a laptop and decent Wi-Fi at Marcus's, can handle orders from there. He squinted at me over his coffee mug, said, "Family stuff, huh? Take what you need, just don't leave me hanging on the Peterson job." I promised I wouldn't. Hank's old school, doesn't pry, just expects you to show up when it counts. After that, I hit the insurance office downtown. It's a little brick building next to the diner, run by a guy named Dale who's got a handshake like a vice. We sat down, and I asked about the life insurance policy Sarah and I took out 2 years ago, $400,000 if I kick the bucket. Same for her. "Can I change the beneficiary?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. Dale raised an eyebrow, flipped through some papers. "You can, but she'd need to sign off since it's joint. Unless you're legally separated or divorced, then it's your call." I told him separation's on the table, and he nodded, handed me a form to start the process. Walking out, I felt lighter, like I'd snipped one more thread tying me to her. Afternoon brought trouble. I was at the grocery store, picking up bacon and eggs for Marcus. He's been feeding me, least I can do is cook breakfast, when Ethan showed up. He's taller than me, wiry, with a smirk that makes you want to deck him. Caught me in the cereal aisle, basket in hand. "Jake, man, what's your deal?" he said, voice loud enough to turn heads. "Sarah's a wreck. You ghosting her over some dumb comment?" I set the basket down, faced him square. "Dumb comment? She wished I'd die, Ethan." You laughed. "That normal to you?" He shifted, I starting. "It was just talk, man. We'd had a few drinks." She didn't mean it. I stepped closer, kept my voice low. "You ever wish that on someone you love? Ever laugh about it?" He stammered, said something about me taking it too personal, then backed off when I didn't budge. Left my basket there and walked out. Heart was pounding, but it felt good to say it out loud. Back at Marcus's, I told him what happened. He chuckled, said, "Should have clocked him. Save us all the headache." Tempting, but I'm not looking to start a war, just one out of this one. Phone kept buzzing Sarah again, then a text from her friend Tara. "She's worried sick, Jake. Give her a chance to explain." Ignored it. Posted a pic on Instagram instead, my granddad's pocket knife on Marcus's coffee table, no caption. Let them guess what it means. Evening rolled around, and I called Tom Baxter, the financial guy. He dug deeper into our accounts, found more rot. Sarah's been funneling cash to Ethan, $5,000 in the last 6 months, labeled as loans in her banknotes. Explains his shiny new boots, I guess. Tom said, "She's living beyond her paycheck, Jake. Without your income, she's gonna hit a wall." Helped me draft another letter, this one to the bank, freezing our joint account, enough left for this month's bills, but that's it. Sent it off, felt another weight lift. Night fell, and Marcus had some buddies over, couple welders and a guy who fixes tractors. They brought beer, set up a card table, played poker till midnight. Didn't ask about Sarah, just dealt me in and ribbed me when I bluffed too hard. For a few hours, I forgot the hole in my chest. But when they left, it crept back, that laugh, her voice, wish he'd wrecked the truck, keeps me up, makes me wonder how long she's hated me under that smile. Tomorrow, I'm meeting a lawyer Marcus knows, guy named Ray, works out of a strip mall office. Not filing for divorce yet, just want to know what's what. Part of me wants to burn it all down, confront her, make her feel this hurt. Part of me wants to vanish, new town, new name, leave her wondering. Mostly, I just want to stop hearing that laugh in my head. One day at a time, I guess. Still standing, still breathing, but damn if it ain't a fight. I'm Jacob Turner, 34, and it's been 10 days since I walked out of Ethan's house with that pecan pie burning a hole in my memory. 10 days since Sarah, my wife of 8 years, laughed about me dying for insurance money. I'm still holed up at Marcus's trailer, piecing together what's left of my life, one jagged chunk at a time. Today, I met Ray, the lawyer Marcus hooked me up with. His office is in a strip mall between a vape shop and a nail salon, smells like cheap air freshener and regret. Ray's a short guy, balding, with a tie that's too loud for his gray suit. We sat across a desk cluttered with files, and I laid it out. Everything I heard at Ethan's, the money mess, the way I've been carving myself out of our life. Didn't mention the Wi-Fi password or the porch light bulb, figured that'd sound petty. Ray leaned back, chewed on a pen, said, "You've got options, Jake. Separation's clean, keeps you married but splits the finances, gives you breathing room. Divorce is messier but final. House and truck complicated either way." I asked about the insurance policy. He said once we're separated, I can reroute the beneficiary without her say-so. Told him to start the separation papers, need a wall between me and her chaos. Afternoon hit me with a curveball. Was working remote from Marcus's kitchen table, laptop humming, when the doorbell rang. Marcus was at the shop, so I answered. There's Sarah, standing on the rickety porch, eyes puffy, hair a mess, wearing an old hoodie I got her at a county fair. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Jake, please, she said, voice cracking. Can we talk? I didn't want to. Every fiber said slam the door, but something in her face made me pause. Stepped aside, let her in. She sat on the couch, hands twisting in her lap, and started spilling. Said she didn't mean it. Those words at Ethan's. Said she'd been stressed, drinking too much, caught up in her brother's toxic vibe. I was mad you weren't coming. Thought you didn't care about my birthday, she said. It just came out. I'd never want you hurt, Jake. I asked why she laughed. She flinched, said it was stupid, trying to impress Ethan with dark humor. Kept going. How empty the house feels, how she's noticed every little thing I took, how she's sorry. Tears started, big ones, rolling down her cheeks. I messed up so bad. Can't we fix this? She begged. I didn't buy it, not fully. 8 years, and I've seen her cry to get her way before. Pulled out my phone, played a voice memo I'd accidentally recorded that night. Meant to note pie ideas, caught her words instead. Lord, I wish he'd wreck that truck. Be nice to cash in on that insurance. Ethan's laugh, hers too. Her face crumpled when she heard it, hands reaching for the phone. I yanked it back. Tell me that's not you, I said. She stammered, said I'd misheard, that she meant wreck, like crash on the couch. Bull. I asked, would you have told me if I didn't catch it? She went quiet, and that was my answer. Marcus got home then, walked in, saw her crying, me stone-faced. Need me to bounce? He asked. I shook my head, told Sarah it was time to go. She stood, begged one more time. I'll do anything, Jake. Therapy, whatever you want. I said separation papers are coming tomorrow, read them and figure out her next move. She left, sobbing, and Marcus handed me a beer. That was rougher than a bad welt, he said. I nodded, downed half the bottle. Didn't sleep much after, kept seeing her tears, hearing that laugh, wondering which was real. Next morning, Ray called, papers were served. Sarah texted 5 minutes later, why are you doing this? I said I'm sorry. Didn't reply. Went to the bank instead. Finalized the account split with Tom Baxter. Found out she tried charging $1,500 on our old joint card, shoes, and a spa day before I froze it. Tom shook his head, said, she's in for a shock when the well runs dry. I felt a grim kind of satisfaction. Posted a pic online, my fishing rods by the river, captioned New Waters. Her friends lit up my inbox, but I let it ride. Tonight, Marcus is watching some John Wayne flick, and I'm out back by the fire pit, staring at the flames. Separation's official now, 6 months to figure out if there's anything worth saving. Part of me wants to hear her out, see if she's for real. Most of me knows that laugh wasn't a one-off, it's who she's become. Still standing, still breathing, but the line's drawn now. I'm Jacob Turner, 34, and it's been 2 weeks since I dropped that pecan pie on Ethan's counter and heard Sarah wish me dead for insurance money. 2 weeks since I started untangling 8 years of marriage, living on Marcus's couch in his trailer by the river. The separation papers are filed now, a legal wall between me and her, and I'm still trying to figure out what's left of me in all this wreckage. Today started quiet. Was working remote, crunching numbers for the lumber yard on Marcus's wobbly kitchen table, when my phone buzzed. Text from Tara, Sarah's friend since grade school. She's falling apart, Jake. Can't you just call her? Didn't answer, been dodging those guilt trips like potholes. Then Ethan called. Blocked him after the grocery store run-in, but he used a new number. Jake, you're killing her, man, he said, voice all gravelly like he's the victim. She's sorry. Give her a break. I hung up, hands shaking. Sorry doesn't erase that laugh echoing in my skull. Midday, I drove to Ray's office. The lawyer, not the barber down the street, though I could use a trim. He had updates. Separation's in motion, finances split, but Sarah's fighting the insurance change. She's claiming emotional distress, Ray said, rolling his eyes. Says you're punishing her by cutting her off the policy. I snorted. She wanted me dead for it. Think that counts as distress? Ray grinned, said he'd handle it, but it might drag out. Left there feeling like I'd won a skirmish, not the war. Afternoon took a turn. Was grabbing coffee at the diner. Black, no sugar, keeps me sharp, when I saw Sarah's truck parked across the street. She was just sitting there, staring at the trailer from a distance. Didn't approach, didn't wave, just watched. Creeped me out, but part of me felt a pang. Those red curls catching the sun, face I used to wake up to. Drove off before she spotted me, heart thumping like a jackhammer. Texted Marcus. She's staking out your place. He replied, want me to run her off with the shotgun? Kidding, I think. Told him to let it be. She'd get bored eventually. Evening brought a surprise. Got a call from my sister, Emily, who lives an hour south in Bloomington. She's 30, a nurse, nosy as hell, but means well. Jake, what's going on? Sarah's posting cryptic stuff on Facebook. Pictures of your old fishing spot, saying she misses the quiet. People are asking me if you're okay. I groaned. Told her the short version, snowstorm drive. The insurance comment, me bailing. She went quiet, then said, "That's not the Sarah I knew. What happened to her?" Wish I had an answer. Told Emily to ignore the posts. I'm fine, just sorting it out. Hung up, checked Sarah's page. Sure enough, there's a photo of the riverbank where I taught her to cast a line, captioned Simpler Times. Manipulation 101, but it still stung. Later, Marcus dragged me to the VFW hall. His welder buddies were throwing darts, drinking cheap beer. I'm no good at darts, but I went along, needing noise to drown out my head. One guy, Pete, clapped me on the shoulder, said, "Heard you're dodging a bullet, Turner. Good for you." Word spreading, I guess. Played a few rounds, laughed some, felt human for a bit. Back at the trailer, I crashed hard. First decent sleep in days. Next morning, Tom Baxter, the financial guy, called. More dirt on Sarah's spending. Turns out those loans to Ethan were just the tip. She's been paying for his car lease, $600 a month, plus random Venmo transfers labeled fun money. Over $15,000 total in a year. She's got no savings left, Jake, Tom said. You're half safe, but she's scrambling. Felt a mix of anger and pity. How'd she sink so low? Told Tom to keep my new account locked tight. He said she'd called his office, begging to know where I'd moved the money. Told her it's none of her business now, he chuckled. Good man. Night fell, and I was out by the river, skipping stones, when Sarah texted, "Can we meet? Just coffee, neutral spot. Please." Stared at it for an hour. Part of me wanted to say no, keep the wall up. Part of me wondered if she'd crack, show me something real. Replied, "Tomorrow, 10, diner. No games." She wrote back, "Thank you." Marcus saw me typing, raised an eyebrow. You sure about that, Jake? I shrugged. Need to see her face, figure out what's left. He nodded, left it at that. Now I'm sitting here, river humming in the dark, thinking about tomorrow. 2 weeks ago, I'd have died for her smile. Now I'm not sure I'd cross the street. That laugh, be nice to cash in on that insurance. It's a crack in everything I thought we were. Maybe she's sorry, maybe she's changing, but I'm not the same guy either. Still standing, still breathing, but the facade's crumbling fast. I'm Jacob Turner, 34, and it's been 18 days since I heard Sarah wish I'd wreck my truck for insurance money, laughing about it with her brother Ethan like I was some punchline. 18 days of living at Marcus's trailer, peeling my life apart from hers, and today's the day I face her across a diner table. Still not sure what I'm hoping to find. Got to the diner at 9:45, early, because my nerves wouldn't let me sit still. It's the kind of place with chipped mugs and waitresses who call you Han, tucked off Main Street where the jukebox plays Merle Haggard on loop. Picked a booth in the back, ordered a black coffee I didn't touch, and waited. Sarah walked in at 10 sharp, not late like usual, which threw me. She cleaned up, hair pulled back, no makeup, wearing a plain gray sweater instead of her usual flashy stuff. Looked more like the girl I met at that barbecue 8 years ago than the woman I'd been dodging. She slid into the booth, hands clasped tight, and started talking before I could. "Jake, I'm so sorry," she said, voice low but steady. "What I said at Ethan's, it was awful, cruel, and I didn't mean it. I'd been drinking, stressed about work, mad you weren't there. It just slipped out." I leaned back, crossed my arms. And the laugh. She winced, looked down. Stupid. Trying to sound tough for Ethan. He's got this way of egging me on, always has. Kept going. Said the house feels like a tomb without me. That she's been sleeping on the couch because our bed's too big alone. That she's cut Ethan out of her life to prove she's serious. I let her talk, sipping cold coffee, watching her eyes. She brought a notebook, beat-up spiral thing, pages dog-eared. Flipped it open, showed me a list. Steps she's taking. Quit the wine, started therapy, canceled her credit cards to stop the spending. "I've been a mess, Jake," she said. "Took you leaving to see it? I want us back. Therapy together, whatever it takes." Tears welled up, but she didn't let them fall, kept it together, like she'd rehearsed this. I didn't say much, just asked, "Why'd you need Ethan's approval so bad? Why'd you throw me under the bus for it?" She swallowed hard. "He's family. Always been the cool one, the one I looked up to. I got caught up trying to keep up with him and his crowd. Lost sight of us." I nodded, slow, then pulled out my phone, played that damn recording. Lord, I wish he'd wrecked that truck. Be nice to cash in on that insurance. Her laugh, Ethan's, sharp as glass. She froze, face going white. "I know what it sounds like," she whispered. I hate that I said it. Hate who I was that day. Didn't argue, just asked, if I hadn't heard, would you have told me? She hesitated too long. "Probably not," she admitted. "Didn't think it mattered till you were gone." That hit hard, truth I'd suspected but didn't want. I told her the separation's staying, 6 months as planned. "Not saying never," I said, "but I can't trust you yet. Need time." She nodded, eyes wet, said she'd wait, prove herself. We set rules, email for bills, no stalking the trailer. She left first, head down, and I sat there till the coffee went stone cold. Back at Marcus's, I told him how it went. He grunted, said, "Sounds like she's trying, but that laugh's a hell of a ghost." Spot on. Afternoon, I called Tom Baxter, financial guy. Sarah's sticking to the split, no new debt, even paid off some of Ethan's loans with her own cash. "She's tightening the belt," Tom said. "Might actually grow up." Felt weird, proud, almost, but distant, like watching a stranger. Evening. I went fishing first time since this mess started. River was calm, sun dipping low, and I caught a decent bass. Sat there gutting it, thinking about Sarah's list, her voice, that notebook. She's changing, maybe, but I'm not the same guy who drove through a blizzard for her smile. Posted a pic of the fish online. No words, let her see I'm moving, not stuck. Got a text from Emily later. Saw Sarah at the store. She looked rough, asked about you. Told her you're tough as nails. Smiled at that. Tonight, Marcus is frying the bass, and I'm out back with a beer, stars overhead. 18 days, and I'm still hearing that laugh, but it's fainter now, drowned out by the river, the fish, the space I'm carving for myself. Separation's a lifeline, not a sentence, gives me room to breathe, see if she's worth the risk. Still standing, still breathing, and maybe starting to heal. I'm Jacob Turner, 34, and it's been 60 days since I left that pecan pie on Ethan's counter and heard Sarah wish I'd wreck my truck for insurance money. 60 days since my world flipped, and I've been rebuilding it, piece by piece, from Marcus's trailer by the river. Today's the end of this road, not the separation that's got 4 months left, but the story I've been living, the one I've been spilling out here. After that diner meet with Sarah 2 weeks back, things shifted. She stuck to her word, no more trailer stakeouts, just emails about bills, short and practical. I kept working remote, fishing when I could, letting the river wash out that laugh, be nice to cash in on that insurance that's haunted me. Marcus says I'm steadier now, not jumping at every buzz of my phone. He's right, I'm finding my feet, even if they're still on shaky ground. Last week, Ray, the lawyer, called. Insurance fight's done. Sarah dropped her claim, so I switched the beneficiary to Emily, my sister. Felt final, like cutting the last rope tying me to that night. Tom Baxter, the financial guy, had news too. Sarah's selling stuff online, her fancy purses and boots, paying down debts without my help. She's standing on her own, Tom said, first time in years. I didn't expect that. Thought she'd lean harder, not dig in. Emily saw her at church Sunday, said she's quieter, humbler, even apologized for dragging Ethan into our mess. She's not the same, Jake, Emily texted. Not sure if that's good or bad. Yesterday, Sarah emailed, asked to meet again, park this time, open air, no pressure. I agreed, figuring 60 days was long enough to know where I stand. Met her at noon by the riverbank where I fish, a spot we used to picnic early on. She looked different, hair shorter, jeans and a flannel instead of designer threads, no notebook this time. We walked, gravel crunching underfoot, and she talked. Said therapy's peeling back layers, how she chased Ethan's approval, resented my steady life, let it fester till it spilled out that night. I broke us, she said, voice raw. Can't undo it, but I'm trying to be someone you'd respect, even if we're done. I asked what she wanted, reconciliation or a clean break. She stopped, looked at the water. I'd fight for us if you'd let me, but only if you can forgive me someday. Really forgive, not just tolerate. I thought about it. 8 years, the good days, the slow rot, that laugh. Told her the truth. I don't hate you, Sarah. Don't even hurt like I did. But I can't see us yet. Maybe never. Need these 6 months to know. She nodded, said she'd keep changing, keep proving it. No strings. We parted with a handshake. Awkward, but real. Back at Marcus's, I packed up. He's got a girlfriend now, serious enough they're talking leases, so I found a place. A one-room cabin 10 miles upriver, cheap rent, close enough to fish daily. Moved in today, just a bed, a chair, my rods, and that granddad's pocket knife on the shelf. Marcus helped haul boxes, cracked a beer after, said, "You're a stubborn bastard, Jake, but you landed upright." Laughed at that, first real one in weeks. Tonight, I drove to Miss Ellie's bakery, bought a pecan pie. Not for Sarah, for me. Set it on my rickety table, cut a slice, ate it slow by the window, river glinting under the moon. Texted Sarah a pic of it. No words, just the pie. She replied, "Glad you're still you." Didn't call, didn't need to. 60 days ago, I'd have torched my world for her. Now, I'm building one that's mine. Separation's got 4 months left. Might end in divorce, might not. I'm open, but not rushing. Sarah's growing, and I'm proud, but I'm not her savior. That laugh showed me her dark, and this river's showing me my light. Called Ray, told him to hold off on divorce papers. Want to see where this lands. Emily says I'm tougher than she thought. Marcus says I'm free. Both true, I reckon. So that's it. My story, from snowstorm to solitude. Thanks for listening, whoever's out there. Been a hell of a ride, but I'm still standing, still breathing, stronger than I knew. The river runs on, and so do I.